We now continue our journey to the modern era, a time of revolutions and rising nationalism, where the Rhine served not just as a border, but as a powerful symbol of identity and unity across Europe. Since the Peace of Westphalia, 1648, the Upper Rhine formed a contentious border between France and Germany. French rulers, from Louis XIV to Napoleon Bonaparte, repeatedly sought to establish the Rhine as a natural border, though the linguistic boundary lay further to the west. Over the centuries, this ambition shaped French foreign policy, driving repeated military campaigns and territorial claims along the Rhine. Napoleon, in particular, created the Confederation of the Rhine, 1800, and 1814, a French client state that encompassed many German territories along the river and supplied manpower and resources to the First French Empire. Following the Congress of Vienna, 1815, territories on the left bank of the Rhine, which French troops had conquered in 1795 and formally annexed in 1797, were returned to German control, mainly under Prussia, forming the Rhine province. Despite this, French ambitions over the Rhine persisted. By 1840, French Prime Minister Adolphe Thiers reignited claims to the left bank, asserting that the Rhine should be France's natural eastern border and proposing the annexation of roughly 32,000 square kilometers of German territory. These claims caused a wave of diplomatic tension, known as the Rhine Crisis, and sparked nationalist sentiment in both France and the German states. The Rhine Crisis occurred against the backdrop of broader European instability, particularly the Oriental Crisis of 1840, the weakening Ottoman Empire, challenged by Muhammad Ali of Egypt in Syria and Anatolia, and France's earlier occupation of Algeria, 1830, created a volatile international situation. When Britain, Austria, Prussia, and the Ottoman Empire moved against Muhammad Ali without consulting France, French nationalists perceived it as a diplomatic humiliation, increasing pressure on Thiers to assert French influence in Europe, particularly over the Rhine. Domestically, France faced political instability under King Louis-Philippe I. His regime contended with legitimists, supporters of the senior Bourbon line, Bonapartists, and Republicans, all of whom challenged royal authority. Thiers, a historian and nationalist politician, leveraged the public outrage to bolster France's claims on the Rhine. He mobilized reservists, fortified positions near the border, issued government loans for armaments, and strengthened fortifications around Paris, presenting a show of military resolve while avoiding full-scale war. In Germany, the response was marked by an explosion of nationalist sentiment, particularly in western states of the German Confederation. Anti-French feelings spread rapidly, accompanied by calls to fortify the Rhine and defend German territories. The crisis exposed the weaknesses of the Confederation's military system, reliant on contributions from multiple states and complicated by the independent foreign policies of Prussia and Austria. German liberals, who had previously admired France's revolutionary and parliamentary traditions, began to view France as a militaristic and expansionist threat. In response, several states took steps to improve defenses. Prussia proposed expanding the Confederation's military and strengthening fortifications in Mainz, Ulm, and Rastatt. Bavaria built a fortress at Germersheim, and Prussia and Austria agreed on a military union in case of a French attack. Despite the nationalist tensions, the crisis ended peacefully. Thiers resigned in October 1840, replaced by Marshal Soult, whose government adopted a more conciliatory approach. France abandoned its claims to the left bank of the Rhine, sought reconciliation with the great powers, and reinforced the concert of Europe's diplomatic framework. The London Straits Convention, 1841, resolved tensions in the eastern Mediterranean, defusing the Oriental crisis and diminishing France's justification for aggressive Rhine claims. The impact of the Rhine crisis was more significant in Germany than in France. It marked the first time German nationalist sentiment spread across social classes, linking identity to the Rhine and creating widespread anti-French sentiment. Patriotic poetry, songs, and nationalist publications proliferated in response to French demands, initiating the Rheinlied-Bewegung, Rhine song movement. Thousands of poems celebrated the Rhine as a symbol of German freedom, with works such as Die Wacht am Rhein and Der Deutsche Rhein becoming hugely popular. French writers also responded with works like Le Rhin Allemand and La Teutomanie, while Victor Hugo's 1842 travel book, Le Rhin, ended with calls for France to extend its borders to the Rhine. Overall, the Rhine Crisis reinforced the strategic and symbolic importance of the Rhine as both a frontier and a cultural icon. It strengthened German nationalism, tied it closely to territorial defense along the Rhine, and left a lasting imprint on European diplomacy, literature, and music. As Heinrich Heine remarked, "Tears' demands drummed our fatherland into this great movement, which awakened political life in Germany. Tears brought us back on our feet as a nation." During the 19th century, the Rhine became a powerful symbol of German nationalism as the German state was taking shape. This period saw the rise of Rhine Romanticism, which interpreted the valley's landscapes and history through the cultural and artistic lens of Romanticism, from the late 18th century to the late 19th century. Artists and writers, reacting to early industrialization and its perceived negative effects, turned to nature, history, and heroic ruins along the Rhine. Friedrich Schlegel, in his travel notes from 1806, praised the rough and wild landscapes and castles atop rocky cliffs as monuments to human courage and heroic times. English poet Lord Byron popularized the Rhine in 1818 with Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, while German poet Adelheid von Stolterfoth produced numerous Rhine-themed poems. Visual artists, particularly J.M.W. Turner, highlighted the Rhine in paintings inspired by several cruises along the river, and the reproductions of these views, including those by Nikolai von Astudin, were widely circulated as prints and postcards. In music, Robert Schumann's Third Symphony, nicknamed the Rhenish Symphony, evokes the Rhineland in its second movement and portrays the investiture of a cardinal at Cologne Cathedral in the fourth. By the late 18th and early 19th centuries, travelers such as Aurelio de Giorgi Bertola, 1795, and John Garnor, 1787, depicted the Rhine Gorge, helping transform the valley from a mere route on the Grand Tour to a major tourist destination. The rocky upper Middle Rhine Valley, with its scenic ruins, became a must-visit after Switzerland. Wealthy individuals and princes, notably the Prussian royal house, rebuilt castles in Romantic style, exemplified by Stolzenfels Castle near Koblenz. Even secular constructions, such as tunnel entrances, were designed with Gothic revival elements. The romantic image of the Rhine was largely spread through prints rather than paintings, including aquatints, lithographs, and engravings in travel books and postcards. Between 1820 and 1830, at least 12 companies produced their own series of Rhine imagery. The British led in steel engraving technology, patented 1826, which enabled accurate representations and mass production. Notable works include William Tomberson's 68 Views of the Middle Rhine in Views of the Rhine, 1832, and Clarkson Stanfield's Traveling Sketches, 1833, which emphasized dramatic lighting and composition over geographic accuracy. The Swiss publisher Johann Ludwig Bleuler created the sophisticated Verdute series around 1827, culminating in Voyage aux Bords du Rhin Pittoresque de la Suisse, 1845, covering the entire river. Through literature, music, visual arts, and tourism, the Rhine was transformed into both a national symbol of Germany and a romantic cultural icon, celebrated across Europe in the 19th century. The Watch on the Rhine is a German patriotic anthem, deeply rooted in the long history of French-German rivalry along the Rhine. The song's origins lie in the Rhine Crisis of 1840, when French Prime Minister Adolphe Thiers claimed that the Upper and Middle Rhine should serve as France's natural eastern border. This assertion reignited fears in the German Confederation of renewed French expansion and potential annexation of the left bank of the Rhine, territories that had been under French control during the Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. In response to this threat, the Swabian merchant Max Schneckenburger composed the poem Die Wacht am Rhein, inspired by a wave of nationalist sentiment across Germany. Earlier, Nikolaus Becker had written the Rheinlied, pledging to defend the Rhine, which helped spark Schneckenburger's creation. In his poem, originally composed of 5 stanzas, Schneckenburger issued a powerful call for all Germans to unite and defend the Rhine, emphasizing the need to rise above regional rivalries and sectionalism to protect German territory from foreign encroachment. Later, additional stanzas were added, but the original call to defend the Rhine became the core message. The poem was first set to music by Swiss organist J. Mendel and performed in Bern for the Prussian ambassador, but this version did not gain widespread popularity. It was not until Karl Wilhelm, the musical director in Krefeld, composed the new setting in 1854 that the song became widely known. Wilhelm's version was first performed by a men's chorus on the 11th of June 1854 during the silver wedding anniversary of Prince Wilhelm of Prussia, the future Emperor Wilhelm I. This performance helped cement the song's role as a symbol of German patriotism and unity, particularly in defense of the Rhine against foreign threats. During the Franco-Prussian War of 1870–71, the song gained extraordinary popularity. Alongside Heil die Reim Sieger Kranz, it functioned as an unofficial second national anthem, symbolizing German unity and resistance to French aggression. Following Germany's victory and the unification of the German Empire, including the annexation of Alsace and Lorraine, the composer Karl Wilhelm and Schneckenburger's family were honored and granted annual pensions by Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. The anthem's lyrics were also inscribed on the Niederwald monument, completed in 1883 near Rüdesheim am Rhein, which commemorated the defense of the Rhine and German national unity, epitomizing the symbolic guard on the Rhine. The anthem remained popular throughout the early 20th century. During World War I and again during World War II, it was widely performed and rivaled the Deutschlandlied as a patriotic song. In the early years of the Second World War, the tune opened the Wehrmachtbericht, the daily military report, until it was replaced in 1941 by the fanfare from Liszt's Les Préludes. The song also lent its name as a code name for the German offensive in the Battle of the Bulge in 1944, although the scenario described in the song of German youths rushing to defend the Rhine against invading forces never occurred in reality. The German offensives of 1870–71, 1914–18, and 1940 all took place west of the Rhine in French territory, and by the time of Operation Plunder in 1945, when Allied forces successfully crossed the Rhine, Germany was no longer capable of mass mobilization to defend the river. Following the post-war settlements and the Élysée Treaty of 1963, the centuries-long French-German enmity over the Rhine was formally ended, and the song retained only historical significance. Today, the western bank of the Rhine, from Switzerland to the Netherlands, lies largely within Germany, including the federal states of Saarland, Rhineland-Palatinate, and North Rhine-Westphalia, while Alsace and northern Lorraine are part of France but retain strong German cultural elements. Beyond its political and historical importance, Die Wacht am Rhein has also had a significant cultural impact. It has appeared in numerous stage and screen works, including César Cuy's opera Mademoiselle Fifi, 1902. Louis Milestones, All Quiet on the Western Front, 1930, and the 1979 remake. Jean Renoir's La Grande Illusion, 1937. Lilian Hellman's play Watch on the Rhine, 1941, and the subsequent 1943 film adaptation, as well as Rainer Werner Fassbinder's 1980 adaptation of Alfred Döblin's Berlin Alexanderplatz. It also appears in science fiction works, such as John Ringo's novel Watch on the Rhine, 2005, and parodic films like Iron Sky, 2012, while François Ozon's France, 2016, features the song sung by German characters in a bar. Through these appearances, the song continues to resonate as a symbol of German history, the defense of the Rhine, and the cultural memory of Franco-German rivalry. Thus, Rheingold, the Rheingold, is the first of the four epic music dramas that make up Richard Wagner's cycle, the Ring des Nibelungen, the Ring of the Nibelung. It premiered as a single opera at the National Theatre of Munich on 22 September 1869 and received its first performance as part of the full Ring cycle at the Bayreuth Festspielhaus on 13 August 1876. The work is named after the gold hidden in the Rhine River, and the river itself is central to the drama, symbolizing both natural beauty and the cultural and historical significance of the Rhine as a defining feature of German identity. Wagner wrote the librettos for the Ring in reverse order, so thus Rheingold was the last text written but the first set to music. The score was completed in 1854, though Wagner refused to allow its performance until the entire cycle was finished, working intermittently on the music until 1874. The 1869 Munich premiere was staged against his wishes by King Ludwig II of Bavaria, his patron. Following the 1876 Bayreuth premiere, the Ring cycle entered the international repertory and became a staple of opera houses worldwide. In his 1851 essay, Opera and Drama, Wagner outlined principles for a new kind of musical drama, rejecting conventional opera structures like arias and choruses. Music would reflect the emotions and ideas underlying the drama, using leitmotifs to represent characters, concepts, and situations. Thus Rheingold is the first work to fully adopt these ideas, although the Rhine maidens occasionally sing in ensemble. As the prologue to the Ring cycle, thus Rheingold sets the stage for the events that follow, recounting Alberic's theft of the Rheingold after renouncing love, his forging of the all-powerful Ring, and the enslavement of the Nibelungs. Wotan seizes the gold and ring to pay the giants who build Valhalla, only for Alberich to curse the ring. Erda warns Wotan to renounce it, but he fails, and the curse's consequences begin immediately. The gods' uneasy entry into Valhalla underscores the looming doom over the pantheon. The Rhine itself plays a central symbolic role in this narrative. The three Rhine maidens, guardians of the gold, embody the river's natural beauty, its mythic power, and its cultural significance, reflecting both German romantic fascination with the Rhine Gorge and the river's historical role as a contested frontier and a marker of German identity. Wagner drew on sources such as the Scandinavian Eddas, the Nibelungen Lied, and local Rhine legends including the Lorelei to construct a story in which the Rhine is not merely a setting but an essential presence that shapes the characters and events. Composition of the opera began in 1853, inspired by Wagner's vision of the flowing river and its musical counterpart, the chord of E-flat major. He completed the orchestral score in May 1854. Wagner's innovative approach to musical storytelling, emphasizing leitmotifs and orchestral color, mirrors the grandeur and symbolic weight of the Rhine itself, portraying it as a dynamic, living presence. The Munich premiere in 1869, staged by King Ludwig II without Wagner's approval, received mixed reviews, with audiences fascinated by the scenery but largely indifferent to the revolutionary music. The Bayreuth premiere in 1876, however, fully realized Wagner's vision, highlighting the Rhine as both a mythic and natural force, with innovations such as wheeled machinery to simulate the Rhine maidens swimming. Following Bayreuth, Das Rheingold was performed across Europe and the United States, entering the repertory of major opera houses in Vienna, Leipzig, London, Budapest, New York, and beyond. Its influence contributed to the modern cultural imagination of the Rhine as a symbol of German heritage, romantic idealization, and national consciousness. Later productions, including the new Bayreuth style, introduced by Wilhelm Wagner in 1951, and the centenary productions of 1976, emphasize the Rhine's symbolic resonance, linking its mythic and natural qualities to contemporary social and political contexts. In Das Rheingold, the Rhine is more than a river. It is a symbol of German cultural memory, historical identity, and romantic imagination. By placing the Rhine at the center of the narrative, Wagner transformed it into a cultural and mythic space, reflecting its enduring importance in German history and its role as a source of both inspiration and national pride. Another prominent symbol of the Rhine's cultural and mythic significance is the Lorelei, 433 feet, steep slate rock on the right bank of the river in the Rhine Gorge at St. Gorshausen, part of the Upper Middle Rhine Valley UNESCO World Heritage Site. The 1,930 Lorelei Amphitheater sits atop the rock, overlooking the river. The Lorelei is not only a striking natural feature, but also a site imbued with centuries of legend, reflecting the Rhine's enduring role as a source of both inspiration and danger. Historically, it has been infamous as a fluvial disaster site since at least the 10th century, with myths ranging from dwarfs to a siren, created to explain the frequent shipwrecks and the rock's remarkable echo. The name Lorelei derives from the Old German words Lurel, in the local Rhine dialect meaning murmuring, and Lei, meaning rock, which together translate as murmuring rock. The river's currents and the small waterfall once produced a murmuring sound, amplified by the rock's echo. Other interpretations link the name to the German verb lauern, to lurk, reflecting the danger the rock posed to passing ships. Today, the natural murmuring is largely lost due to urbanization. The Lorelei's mythic and cultural significance grew through literature and music. Early legends imagined dwarfs inhabiting caves within the rock. In 1801, German author Clemens Brentano first told the story of a woman associated with the rock in his ballad Zu Bacharach am Rhein, part of his novel Gott wie oder das steinerne Bildermutter. In Brentano's version, the beautiful Lorelei, betrayed by her lover, is accused of bewitching men and causing their deaths. On her way to a nunnery, she climbs the Lorelei rock to see the Rhine once more, believes she sees her love in the river, and falls to her death, leaving the rock to echo her name. Brentano drew inspiration from Ovid and the myth of Echo. Heinrich Heine adapted Brentano's theme in 1824, producing his famous poem Die Lorelei, in which a siren sitting on the cliff above the Rhine distracts sailors with her beauty and song, causing shipwrecks. The poem's enduring popularity was cemented in 1837, when Friedrich Silche set it to music, creating a song widely known in German-speaking lands. Franz Liszt and numerous other composers also adapted the poem musically. During the Nazi regime, Heine's authorship was suppressed due to his Jewish heritage, yet the figure of Lorelei remained a central part of German cultural imagination. The Lorelei also appears in other literary works, such as Joseph von Eichendorff's poem Waldes Gespräch 1812, set to music by Robert Schumann in his Liederkreis. Over time, the Lorelei figure, though originally created by Brentano, became deeply embedded in German popular culture through Heine and Silcher's interpretations, often mistakenly assumed to derive from ancient folklore. The theme has continued to influence international literature, music, and popular culture, appearing in Guillaume Apollinaire's poem La Lorelei, Shostakovich's Symphony No. 14, and modern songs by artists such as Townes Van Zandt, Roxy Music, The Pogues, Eagle Eye Cherry, David Gray, and Fischer Z. The Lorelei's legend illustrates the Rhine's dual role as both a natural and cultural force. It symbolizes the river's power, beauty, and danger, inspiring literature, music, and folklore, while shaping the German imagination and reinforcing the Rhine as an enduring emblem of regional identity, romantic fascination, and national cultural heritage. At the end of World War I, the Rhineland became a focal point of post-war geopolitics under the Treaty of Versailles. The treaty stipulated that the region would be occupied by Allied forces until 1935 and subsequently maintained as a demilitarized zone, with the German army forbidden to enter. This provision, like many aspects of the treaty, provoked deep resentment across Germany. Allied troops withdrew from the Rhineland in 1930, and following Adolf Hitler's rise to power, German forces reoccupied the area in 1936. This move was immensely popular domestically, reinforcing Hitler's image as a restorer of national pride. While the Allies likely had the capability to resist, both Britain and France chose not to intervene, reflecting their policy of appeasement. During World War II, the Rhine's natural geography was recognized as a formidable obstacle to any invasion of Germany by Western Allied forces. It became a critical military objective in several operations. The Rhine Bridge at Arnhem, famously chronicled in the book A Bridge Too Far and its film adaptation, was a central focus of the failed Operation Market Garden in September 1944. Other strategic points, such as the bridges at Nijmegen over the Wall tributary, were also targeted during this operation. Separately, the Ludendorff Bridge at Rheimmegen achieved legendary status when US forces captured it intact, after German demolition attempts failed the moment dramatized in the film The Bridge at Remagen. Even during the Cold War, the Rhine continued to hold military significance, as evidenced by the Warsaw Pact's 7 Days to the River Rhine war plan, which envisioned an invasion of Western Europe. The Rhine's importance extends beyond strategy into geography and culture. Until 1932, the river's length was generally recorded as 1,230 kilometers, 760 miles. That year, Knauf's lexicon listed it as 1,320 kilometers, 820 miles, likely due to a typographical error. This figure was subsequently propagated through authoritative sources, including the Brockhaus Encyclopedia, and remained widely accepted in textbooks and official publications. The discrepancy was finally corrected in 2010, with the Dutch Rijkswaterstaat confirming the Rhine's true length at 1,232 kilometers, 766 miles. The Rhine has long been more than a river. It is a symbol of natural beauty, cultural identity, and political power. From inspiring legends like the Lorelei to shaping music, literature, and nationalism, it has permeated German and European consciousness for centuries. Its waters have borne commerce, defended borders, and witnessed conflicts that reshape nations. Even as modern Europe has embraced peace and cooperation, the Rhine remains a living testament to the intertwining of geography, culture, and history, reminding us of the enduring role a river can play in shaping both landscapes and the human imagination. If you enjoy learning about Europe's history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the continent's past.